Hey, what's going on? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. In this video, we're going to keep going on our app here and just take this a little bit further. Right now, we have the situation where, well, we have our resolution and we have our form to submit new goals. And as we saw from our graphical, it's submitting goals, but we don't have it displayed or anything like that. I'd like to be able to have that in there. And then also get some sort of like checking, right? To say like, I've completed this individual goal. Now, it's incredibly windy outside today, so if you are hearing some wind noise, I can't do anything about it. You can hear the wind throughout my house. It's absolutely wild. So if you can hear this wind on the recording, that's why. Hopefully it goes away. Hopefully you can't hear it at all. Just a disclaimer there. So let's keep going. You remember we wrote this query that allows us to see all of our resolutions and all of our goals. You can now see that inside of our VS Code here, let's head to our application. And unfortunately, we have everything thrown inside of app.js still. But you can see here, we just simply are having an unordered list. We're mapping over that list. We're outputting a list item, and we have our goal form. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is basically have another map that's going to output all of our different goals. Well, what I want to do is actually make a new file here. I'm going to head into my UI folder, and let's make a new folder. This is just going to be named resolutions. Okay. And inside of here, I'm going to have a new file named goal.js. You can do RCC to have a new React component with my snippet package, and let's have a new goal. Now, an individual goal, if you can think about it, is simply just going to have to return its, it's going to have a checkbox. So we can have an input type, and this can be checkbox, okay? And then we can also have basically the this.props.goal and then you'll remember from our API, it's just the goal name, okay? So we can say goal.name. So right now, this is just a div, and that's kind of okay with me. We'll probably want to actually, never mind, let's just make this a list item. We'll just have this be an li, and let's head back to our app.js where we can import goal from goal, import goal from /resolutions/goal, okay? And then now we can do another map over our resolution. However, instead of this time saying our individual resolution.name, we're going to do a map over resolution.goals, okay? Because that's the array in our API here. And we can have another unordered list. And inside of this unordered list, we can do resolution.goals.map. Inside of here, we'll have a goal, which will simply just output an individual goal. And we're going to just say, hey, give me that goal. And the goal itself is going to be set to goal. I'm saying the word goal so many times it's losing its meaning to me. It's one of those things. Goal, okay? We're going to say now key is equal to goal._id. And we can have this like this. So we're going to be iterating over each of our individual goals, and we're going to be outputting an individual goal, passing in that goal with a key. And what's nice about this is, well, actually, let's head down here to our query. Our query isn't actually querying for any goals, and that shouldn't matter. And you can see we are getting an error saying like, hey, cannot read property map of undefined, which actually leads us to an important piece. If we were to have no goals in here, what would this be returning, right? Would this be returning null, or would it be returning an empty array? So that's kind of tough to show right now. Let's go ahead and actually comment some stuff out of here. I'm going to temporarily remove this unordered list here. You could comment this out. And I'm going to head back to our application. Let's add another item and have no goals in it. So we can just say new tester. Okay, submit. Okay, let's check out graphical. Okay, cool. So we now, and let's head back to our application and paste this back in here. Now, obviously, we can't do a dot map on a property that's undefined, but let's confirm that GraphQL is actually outputting an array. So by running our query now with an empty item, we can see that, well, GraphQL is smart enough that because, let's head back to our application here in our resolvers for goals. Even though it can't find any goals, it's still going to return an empty array here. And that's excellent for us because, well, now we can have a dot map over an empty array. It's just not going to output anything. So we're going to want to make sure that we do, in fact, query for goals down here in our query. And let's just give us the name as well as the underscore ID. And let's save this. So it's always important to check sort of your states of data, right? Like if there are no goals, what's this coming in as? Is this going to give us any sort of errors? In this case, you can see it's not because we are getting an empty array. Okay, so check it out. We now basically have a new do handstands more. We have some subtasks that are obviously, this checkbox isn't going to do anything for us, but that's super nice. And we can add new subtasks for a new tester as well. We can just say write code, submit. And now we do have a little bit of an issue. I hit submit and nothing happened. And if I come back and refresh, you can see that write code shows up. We can do this again by saying delete code, submit, refresh, and again, nothing shows up. Now a decent short-term solution to that would be to head back to our mutation. You remember that in our resolution form right here, we had to tell it to refetch the query resolutions. Now this again is going to hit our database and have to grab everything again from our API. So if you're bringing in a lot of data and stuff like that, the refetch queries is going to always go back and hit your database and have to refetch those queries. So this might not necessarily be the best option every time. In fact, we're going to go over a better solution for that, where you get to update the actual store itself without having to re-query the database. So let's go ahead and for now, as a nice little quick fix, throw in this options refetch queries into our goal form. So on goalform.js, we have our name property here. We can go ahead and add another property, which is just options, and we're going to have refetch queries, the resolutions query. So keep in mind, every single time at this point, we are going to add a new resolution or a goal, it's going to have to hit our database and refetch everything again. Now, I mentioned this might not be the most performant solution, but let's check this out. You can see it certainly works. So if you're doing something like this, you're not needing extreme performance or something like that, this refetch queries is going to work a-okay. Or if you're not really having to hit a whole ton of stuff, again, this refetch queries is going to work fine. So don't necessarily let that deter you. You can see this works a-okay. Now, one last thing is after we hit submit, this input needs to clear itself. It's not doing that currently. So let's head back to our goal form. And now if we have no errors, we'll do a dot then on this create goal. And in our dot then, we'll just have an arrow function like this. Okay, so inside of this, after our goal has finished and there's no errors, we're simply going to set this dot name dot value equal to an empty string. Okay, save this. What this is going to do is it's going to set our ref input to an empty string, therefore clearing the input so we don't have some of this leftover text in here. So this will now say clear input, submit. And you could see our input's been cleared and we now have this going. Okay, so this is all good. We've progressed a little bit. We've added the visual component to our goals. We've allowed the form to sort of refresh itself, and we've told our query to refetch. So in the next video, what I want to do is focus a little bit on, well, this mutation right here. When we check any individual thing, well, what needs to happen? Especially considering on our goals, we do have this completed property, but we don't have it stored in the database. We're not using it at all. Actually, I mean, I do take that back because, I mean, we do have it in the database. when we created a new goal, we are setting completed to false. So we're going to need to write this toggle goal mutation. We're going to need to toggle that, and we're going to need to get it going. So as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.